Honorable Mwanga Kivumbi made claims of people being compromised, and where he has no evidence, so he at least has not adduced evidence. Recently, the senior presidential advisor on special operations told the one that NUP and its leadership, or elements of its leadership, was built, funded extensively.
Did he add extensively?
Which presidential advisor?
There's only one in charge of special operations.
I want to know who tweeted that.
Now, no. I'm saying he said, should you now want us to believe that anything said in the media is correct, accurate? It was said by your leader, of your leadership. Mr. Kizabesiji said that elements in your leadership are working with the NRM, and they don't seem to be in the proper struggle to cause change, the change he thinks should happen. Should we believe him? Those are two leaders in the country. One enjoys access to state intelligence. The other enjoyed access to state intelligence, and I want to believe he still have access. Should we believe BCJ and the special advisor on special operations?
But that whose name you're not mentioning.
That you are a deal. That NUP is a deal of the NRM machinery to degrade BCJ. Should we believe so? And Charles, I think you're unfair to the viewers. Imam Kasozi is not an academician only. He's a member and a founder of JEMA. So he's an active politician. Maybe has not stood for election in the broader realm, or has not won, but he is a politician, and therefore don't present him as if he's a neutral person. Now I just want to conclude with NRM. NRM we have internal disagreement. Like it should be, for us who study political economy, we say contradiction is universal. But there are general contradictions, specific contradictions, particular contradictions. And you should have, as a leader, as an organization, you should have the ability to distinguish between primary and secondary contradictions. And in the course of managing those contradictions, you should manage them in such a way that secondary contradiction should not become primary contradiction, or an otherwise peaceful contradiction or democratic contradiction should not become antagonistic and irreconcilable. And that's what NRM has tried to do. And therefore, I concur with Dr. Tango Doi that we prepare as is. Whether the opposition groups come combined or come separately. Remember in 2011, Honorable Mao, when they were asking him why they were not having one presidential candidate to tackle this monster called NRM and Museveni, Honorable Mao answered in this way. He said they want to give NRM multiple headaches. I don't know whether they achieved the multiple headaches. That's what he said.
Thank you. Michael Chakulaga in Kayunga, Bugerere, thank you for watching the show.
I am saying, for us, we are ready.
He's on hot pursuit.
Thank you for watching. Benjamin says, I agree with Imam Kasozi that we don't have political parties, with the possible exception of Karamoja, for some strange reasons. I don't know any other part of the country where, for instance, the president, constituency MP and woman MP, on the same ticket, garner the same number of votes. That's Benjamin.
But that's inverse, even in the US.
In Kampala.
Ghana the same number of votes.
There are people
Yes.
who vote for policy, there are people who vote for personality.
Even the diction, even the beauty.
Fred Mukasambide, you're into 2025. You signed an MOU with the ruling party. How is that faring? as you get into this election year? We see you mobilizing already to participate in this election.
Yes. First of all, you have given me a wealth of ideas when you allowed all my colleagues to address the country over the matter. But I can tell you, you see, they say, however much you win, your actions remain to be determined by the actions of your opponent. Here in Uganda, there is a cause and effect principle. We are definitely being anchored on the axis of the conduct of the ruling president. Of course, a lot has been said about the Democratic Party agreement, but before I get to that, I can first of all describe to you the character of the President of the Republic of Uganda. Because that one now explains the objective reasons that made it a logical necessity for him to sign an agreement with the Democratic Party. The agreement was for cooperation. So the agreement exists. There is no evidence of cooperation. But it achieved its results within his own intents and purposes. Why? Because when you look at the opposition right now, it is very clear that the President of the Republic of Uganda has got at least a limb in each of the political parties, thereby causing a dichotomy. Every political party has got two sections, and the other section is caused by the operations of the President of Uganda, to the extent that it is very unlikely that a political party in Uganda on the opposition, to begin with, can have to conduct an activity by way of consensus. Not even a barrier ceremony. It has to be divided into two for the same body. Now, because he has picked a limb from each and every political party. Now for us, he has not even picked a limb. He took the engine. Now, so we are now reaching out in search for our engine. We are saying there were explanations when the engine was being taken away. It was for purposes of kick-starting a vehicle into a transition.
The engine has gone.
Yes, it went. So we are saying, but there is no evidence of a likelihood of a transition. So we are saying, where is our engine?
Can you reclaim it, you think?
We are reclaiming our engine back to the extent that if we don't find it, then you will find that again he has successfully created a dichotomy within the party, that the party will divide itself into two, those looking for the engine and those now searching for better engines to work with. So by the end of...
You mean the yellow bus didn't have an engine?
That is what was claimed, that the engine for starting the transition vehicle wasn't operational. So we lent ours. But the engine is there. Probably it was not even used. We see that the president is still sitting in one of the ramshackled vehicles, hooting, turning the steering, and it's not even moving, to the extent that he has even denied that we even debated the transition. So the president...
What did you get out of this MOU, you as the Democratic Party?
We were only merely invigorated into that memorandum, to the extent that it exists, but there is no evidence of cooperation. So what exists right now is that we cannot proceed with the way it is. We have reached the extent of discussing now internally on how to have it terminated. Otherwise, there is no way you can claim into the electorate that you are insulting a crocodile while part of your buttocks are still in the water. It is very unlikely that you will make sense. So, but this all plays to what the president of Uganda is. I think he uses the following approaches that have made it impossible for political parties to work together as parties, that is inter-parties, or even parties to remain solidly working together, that is intra-party factors. Because you see, we are considering the inter-parties, then the intra-parties, then now the contextual. So the contextual is the character. He does not believe. He actually operates in a manner of by way of schismatism. He's one man that does not believe in unity, not even in his own political party. I can tell you that where his own political party was united, he created using his own son a dichotomy again within the same political party. Created it, ran it around. Then finally he said, yeah, now it has developed to a capacity where at least at every village there is a candidate for NRM, and there is also somebody vying under some PLOU of some sort. So he created it. Then in the army, I have heard also Honorable Semju stating very factually that even in the army, he has created specific disjointed schemes, which are also actually either chicken armies or substantive armies, to the extent that even where now, because not even in his own family, you can find that some in-laws don't actually speak practically well with the others. So he actually enjoys that, to the extent that everybody is the question and he is the answer. Now that is how he leads. Then in number two.
But before you go to number two, how have you as actors as political actors on the opposition side responded to this?
And this is what I'm getting to. Our major response is also faced, by the way, by both the intra and the inter-party confusions, again generated by him. Now, the major and broader question would be, what exactly, even if we are united, are we expecting in the 2026 elections? Given the final explanation I am giving you, the idea that he enjoys establishing a system of puppetry, from top to bottom, you don't have a functional institution that is not operating by way that he is the puppet master, puppeteering all institutions all the way up to the ground, where he's the man pulling strings as the puppet master, and all the others are muppets and puppets, choreographed into systems you can call government institutions. The first one of them is actually the system that counts elections. Because ideally, all our intents and purposes are geared towards who is declared winner. Now, if the person counting such votes is himself appointed by the candidate, then you know. And these are things that we had thought as the Democratic Party we were to work on. And we were convinced. Because people like Honorable Semju critiqued us. They told us that historically, we know that this man does not respect agreement. Actually, I remember on one of the shows, Honorable Semju cited the 1985 agreement, where President Museveni was still fighting, and they actually entered an agreement in Nairobi with the then government, which agreement he never respected for even 10 minutes. I said, no. There he was still young. So I did not know that actually the conduct just grew also. So I thought he outgrew the conduct. So it has created a very funny scenario for us on the opposition. We have looked at countries that have succeeded democratically. There is a way and manner in which they have organized, for example, the electoral counting bodies. When you look at Kenya here, there is a participation in formation of electoral commission.
You're dealing with factors outside of your control.
Yes, those are the contextual.
Yes, the contextual. Outside of your control. The context you're in dictates that you would have been thinking through how else to organize.
Yes.
You're in the middle of, you're already into, well into the middle of processes leading to another election. Most likely you'll be participating as a party and as individuals in the political party.
Yes.
It's a question I want to throw across the panel here. How else? What are you taking into 2026, that election? What are you taking towards nomination?
Yeah, one thing we will continue doing is participating. Why? Because you have to treat this as an accident. That the one who knocks you does not teach you how to limp. You just continue limping somehow at a very fast rate. Otherwise, you'll be run over by the next vehicle.
What's the objective?
So the objective is going to be, and I feel it is possible for us on the opposition, at least the remnants of those that have got a belief to have some surface cooperation. The objective would be, first of all, to create, to exemplify what we feel is hidden. Because why is it hidden? Mr. Ofono-Opondo has just told you that one of the presidential advisors on military operations, on special operations, intimated that they funded the opposition candidate. But it is also clear that actually they also killed the people who were supporting him. So what was that? In my opinion, it doesn't make sense. Unless they were choreographing a process of killing Ugandans.
I said on this show
Yes.
that we funded Amriat and FDC. And at the same time he accuses us, that man, and at the same time he accuses us of abducting him.
So how do you have that person you have funded?
The whole process of state operation is convoluted. So what we need to do is to actually display the same, both to the country and to the international by participating. Because if we don't participate and nobody gets killed, then how are we going to propose reports?
Are you conscious of the fact that on 26th January, Yoweri Museveni will be counting 39 years in charge, and by that, participating to expose, you're potentially making, giving him a red carpet to another 5 years in power?
Yeah, but you see, it is what we call,
the alternative?
It is a rock. It is a rock. They call it the Skyland Karibu principle. It is a rock and a hard place. Because you must move anyway. So what do? We think that the President of the Republic of Uganda, at 39 years of leadership age, ought to have known that actually going forward is determined by his conduct. Now, if he fails to realize that, then we are also now operating on an experimental procedure that probably none of us can envisage in the better future. However,
is experimentation a viable option for Uganda's politics, Imam Kasozi?
What?
Experimentation. He says it's an experimental procedure. You're going to participate, but not expecting to change anything fundamentally.
I think throughout Uganda's independence history, politics has been experimental. That's why every other time new people emerge, they are not emerging because they are very powerful, but because of the circumstances prevailing at a time. And that's why people have even the courtesy to tell you that we funded somebody. Even when they did not fund, they will say, because they have put our minds so low that every time we are thinking somebody is ready, is ready to be bought. You see, even when nothing has taken place. The problem with either you call it alliance, whether it is a coalition, whether it is cooperation, I think even Mbide himself knows that there was no MOU with DP as a party and NRM. It was even if you ask this one, he does not know that there was even any meeting that led to that. But
it was not with me, it was with the DP.
No, I'm saying you as NRM also know. Yes.
I am saying
Yes.
I'm not supposed
the Ideological was not
I'm
informed.
supposed to be in regular operation of NRM, but I can be given information. But the discussion,
Yes.
and the vice president of DP has told you that an MOU exists in writing.
It exists.
Why are you discussing?
Find the office was the Secretary General.
And the reason why I'm saying so, it was tagged to some, if I get this and this, we are done. And that's why he says that the engine itself was taken, and he's still looking for it. He doesn't know whether he will get it or not. So what I'm saying,
Are they in a position to demand for it?
they could be, but those who will demand can also be introduced to some other positions, and then things may change. So experimenting, I think the biggest challenge we have had, almost all political parties in Uganda, including the old ones, were created as a reaction of the circumstances that were prevailing. And we have lived with that up to today. that even when you sit down and begin to think critically, then you ask yourself, people will tell you that, for example, I know some people who are criticizing Jema, they say, you know, Jema has a team, I think what Mwanga described, a team of people who they don't vie for any positions, but they influence the way in which the party should be running, which the masses don't like, because the masses want Chigwalero. You see, whether it has a foundation or not, they don't mind. And for us, we still insist, no, it doesn't work like that. So this one is not far away. Nobody in Uganda is not in politics, including the cultural leaders. The only difference is they don't compete for positions. So me, fortunately, I belong to the Muslim faith. And in the Muslim faith, we don't believe that somebody should be there and he's not in politics, because politics has some relationship to leadership. And when you don't have leadership, you are in trouble. The only thing is the impartiality of your presence in politics is what is critical. And therefore, I strongly believe everyone can contribute to the betterment of Ugandan political situation, whether he stands or not. And actually, those people who are not vying to stand would be the best to cause this. And unfortunately, we have forgotten that. Like, that's why, for example, if you ask, if I think although he had remained in Makerere, he would be now professor.
He would be more useful.
He would be professor. But the problem is, but the problem is,
More.
the problem is,
I said more.
professors are supposed, or intellect are supposed to profess knowledge. But now people compromise them to profess money. Everybody is looking for money. Instead of, so the professor is contented. I have taught, yes. I have examined, yes. I have supervised people at levels, master's level, PhD. And that's why I'm called the professor. He's contented. But today, they are not. That's why he rubbished several of them. My teachers of the time, all the people he mentioned, at least Kaduja taught me in class. Professor Nswambi did not teach me in class, but he taught me in Mawazo, for example. And now, those higher institutions of learning, where is any engagement, any academic, critical academic engagement that this week people are discussing issues? Nothing. The reason is because I go back to where I started. We are all we are waiting for the flight. We are entranced, actually, and we are not we are entranced, waiting for the flight. Yes, and until we overcome that, the politics will remain.
What was the purpose
and the last thing they have done is that to create a scenario whereby the new term, foot soldiers, you see, have come up and they want to influence everything.
What was the purpose of the meeting between DA and Jema?
No, DA, I have not asked, but what I know, what I have seen on one of the platforms is that DA wrote that they want to consult, and they came for consultation. There's nothing beyond that. It was consultation. And now, on the ideas, they have some ideas. The Jema group, or the Jema think tank, will now sit down and see, is it worthy?
Let Imam help us.
Yes.
The ideological underpinning of all political parties, I think, differ. Jema, as a political party, must be having an ideological underpinning, which maybe is not for DP, NRM,
True.
whatever. Now, if you are coming to consult, first of all, consult and get what? The reality on the ground is that the mistakes which NRM will make is what may affect NRM. Otherwise, NRM is not competing with any organized or political group. Because all of you, and in your submission, are in lamentation. Noop will lament here very
It
quickly.
is unfortunate that Dr.
No, I want you to
Tango
explain.
Odoi,
Imam,
a student and a teacher of history.
Imam, I want you to tell me the underpinning. I started my presentation, I don't know whether you saw, with emergent African states.
Yes.
And I didn't actually have time to thorough on it. If Nkrumah wanted the African personality, what was the underpinning of the African personality? The African personality should wake up, stand firm, and not be bulldozed anywhere. That was the underpinning.
Now,
If you come to Uganda's situation, where there was move to the left, but they were behaving so capitalist, what was the underpinning? That's the mix here we
the
have.
move to the west you are talking came 8 years later, when the politics of the country was running.
The underpinning of a political party is what I want you to emphasize.
8 years later, that's when it came. And it came not because it was a real ideology, but it was a
You
point
say
of
the right
interest.
thing. You say the right thing.
So
the
I want
ideological
to tell you-
underpinning of
yes.
political parties.
Yes.
That is the thorax of what I want us to
If you
discuss.
ask me for Jem, I will tell you.
What is it?
Out of the 5 letters that make Jema, the critical one is M.
Justice.
No, morality. So that we want to see people playing moral politics, whereby
Moral politics cannot even be played by the Pope, even in Rome.
Wait.
Moral politics?
And the problem is because you confuse morality with religion. That is the biggest challenge
Moral
that we have.
politics. Politics to have morals.
I am saying that
Are we about to believe, really,
Politics to have morals.
that Uganda is in a multi-party political dispensation and therefore has created a ground for the flourishing of ideological anchor chains?
no,
within
it is
political
not
parties?
there because,
Can we
because
flip
the
that
leading
question?
party
Yes.
is suffering from militarism. And militarism is not a science, that's the state of mind. That's why they operate the way they operate. And if they see you becoming a bit big, then they will unleash the whole force over you so that you have the problems. And then they scare others to support your cause.
Or we could
You
flip
are
the
aware of
question.
it.
We could flip the question that you just put. Are there people working for realization of a genuine multi-party political dispensation to send to compete in the next election? John Ken Luchamuzi, the man, president of the Conservative Party, says, I can't say that CP and other political players are ready for the 2026 general elections in the absence of any sign that Parliament shall ever reform the bad electoral laws. Not even the recent Supreme Court recommended electoral reforms will ever see the light of day. Far from Dr. Odoi's wishful thinking, I concur with Honorable Semuju that we are in a quasi-military state calling for a new democratic
Will you ever
revolution.
agree with me? You can't.
We used to agree with you when you were chairman of Mwasa.
No.
Until you changed.
No,
So you are
because-
the one who changed.
Let me take a quick message.
What were
Opposition
we
parties
doing
face
before?
both external and internal threats that significantly impact their stability. While external threats such as an unfavorable political environment and state interference are often beyond their control, the ability to manage internal challenges can build the resilience and capacity needed to withstand external pressures. For instance, the monetization of politics allows some opposition leaders to be compromised, further undermining party cohesion and credibility. When parties fail to create a strong and harmonious internal environment, they become highly vulnerable to external forces.
Very true.
Internal threats such as intrigue, selfishness, radicalism, intolerance, and lack of unity often pose the greatest danger to a political party's survival. It's a long message.
And those are values.
These internal weaknesses not only disrupt the party's functionality, but also make it easier for external forces to exploit divisions.
very true.
FDC
No, they are unrelated. So he made that point.
And he
made the
has
second
other
one.
things. He has many positions to give. So you have to trend wisely.
No. What does it?
That's why somebody loses. He has been in parliament. He loses the election. He becomes a DA.
Aboki Fred is watching us and says, we do not
Yes.
understand these governance systems from the West.
Is that sensible?
We do not abide by them. We should evolve our own systems that we understand and they work for us. This is a question I want to put to you, gentlemen. Honorable Ibrahim Semu Junganda, Ofono Pondo, Tango Doi, and I'll come to you. Yes, that we don't understand these Western things. We should evolve our own systems. What do you think?
See, these systems are universal. Political parties means competition, but institutional competition. I don't think I want to say because the West were more advanced, they became democratic before us, that there is nothing good to learn from them. In fact, it is our bad manners that are spoiling these systems. In the West, they are working effectively. If you want to work with another party, after elections, you don't get the majority, you sign an agreement. Once that agreement is broken, then you part company. As I said earlier, Ofonopono said to me, I like using skepticism. The conditions that are here that make political parties look like they are bad, they are also intentional. Because if political parties are bad, he has told you, even in NRM, they go through problem solving almost every time of election. But because you have a military leader who has now appointed his son to take over the military, and they have different standards for themselves, they can close roads because Museveni is going to address a rally in Uganda. And for you, they will say you have caused an accident on the road, so your politics now has been stopped. The moment you have different standards for different actors, whether it is whether the system is imported from Europe, whether the system is domestic, the results are going to be the same. So what we need to do is to subject everybody, subject every institution to the same standards, which we are not doing. And
when you don't have the capacity to subject everybody to the same standard, what are you taking into the next election?
That question I answered earlier, and I said I don't want to take the sole responsibility. I think this is a corrective. We all need to correctively rescue this country, like it has happened elsewhere, including you, the media. I can't blame you, but you like asking questions that should be asked of everybody. If the religious people participated in rescuing South Africa, rescuing Malawi, rescuing Zambia, we should all be doing the same thing because we are all victims of military rule. So the political parties themselves that maybe you want to say they are disorganized, they are divided, they are weak, they face the same problems the media is facing in Uganda. They face the same problems that traditional institutions are facing. That's why we need to be fighting together, including, by the way, some elements within the NRM.
Have you been able to articulate that call to action to everyone else? Are you mobilizing? Are people listening to you? If they're not, why are they not? You
see, the price to pay, people need, and they always think about it before they come out to make a contribution. If you go to Libya, I didn't know that at one time I'll see the fall of Gaddafi. I have said here many times, I was in Khartoum when I saw al-Bashir being welcomed from South Africa. They didn't want to arrest him from there. I didn't imagine. So the courage, the entire population hasn't picked courage to confront this problem.
Okay.
And that's why they want to pray and encourage the few who are courageous. And that's why the few are paying the price. These young people who are in jail, arrested for supporting Kyagulanyi, Besigye, who is in jail, they are the ones who are paying the price for being extra courageous. But we all need to do the same thing.
Okay.
I didn't know that a chairman of Mwasa will one day be here now defending militarism. I thought that Makerere people should be the one leading us in providing ideas on how to fight militarism. Now they are the defenders of militarism.
Ivan Okuda says, my own view is that politics in any society exists in a context of history and economics. Uganda is still a poor and backward society where in some areas people are still 2 or 3 centuries behind human civilization. Therefore, the politics of such a primordial setting is built on survival around basic needs of life. How to transition from this state of affairs into a modern society where ideas and ideologies matter, and determined politics is where leadership starts and ends. Unfortunately, in Uganda, leadership too remains in survival mode. We are ripe for a revolution to address these contradictions. Let's kill all the politicians to have a refresh.
Now look at that suggestion.
Honorable Mwanga Chivumbi.
We'll start with Tango Doi. If they are going to kill all politicians, we should line up Tango Doi first.
As NUP, what are you taking into... Yes.
And I think...
Can I put a question? What are you taking into this year, 2025, towards 2026?
Before I even go through that, the whole discussion is of an elitist mentality we've been having. The actual position in Uganda is stronger and grows stronger. It's because it's by the ordinary people who every single day face existential issues. The national population census has just come out and says 5 million youth are unemployed. The people I interact with in the villages who are displaced on their land by one, the gun that was meant to liberate them, and by the liberators who return with bags of money in the name of buying them. When I drive along all these roads and you see the destruction on the natural environment, on the watch of an existing government and affecting the daily wealth creation of people are the real issues. Now, the political elite are on who is for which position. That's what I said the other thing I do, that if you structure discussion along the apex and its interest, you are not addressing the core, bigger structure of society, which are the real people. So for me, I think the context of where we come from, first of all, you don't have a leadership in the country that believes in pluralism. You have manipulators. Because if I believe in pluralism and I'm a president, I have no interest in killing DP, in killing FDC. After all, we have even financed it through the Political Party Organizations Act, pressed public money. Two, the political party you're talking about, NRM, also doesn't exist. Yes. Who pays his salary? Who pays his salary? He's paid at the same rate as an MP, actually as a minister. Him. Honorable Semju, the shadow, yes. Can you tell the public your salary? You. I'm the owner of the salary. No. Can you? Can you tell Ugandans how much you are paid?
Yes, I can.
And you, how much are you paid? No. What I'm saying, don't take me that argument. What they're taking me to that argument is that this one is not even employed by NRM party. You are paid by taxpayers' money. And I'll tell you, Honorable Semja and I have just looked at a supplementary. That is before Parliament. This supplementary, Uganda is going to borrow 958 billion through domestic market to supplement supplementary schedule 1. 243 billion is going to classified under State House.
And that's where
and
the
in the budget, main
salaries?
budget, they had 81. So that means in 3 months, this boss who is moving around the country has spent each single day 3.2 billion. And for each single minute, I've calculated it around 140 minutes. Where does that money go? Pays these fellows.
So the supplementary includes, I thought they collect some money.
Paying these fellows. Where does it get? Do they fundraise? Their party. So who finances the... So therefore, do they fundraise?
Didn't you say you appropriate money to them through the Political Parties and Organizations Act?
No, the money that is appropriated through the Political Party and Organizations Act can't run their salaries for 2 months. No. I know.
Okay.
I know how much you are appropriated to. So the problem we have... The problem... The only evidence I have
Evidence is available.
is available.
Just for you to
How
prepare
much?
a register, you spend 23 billion.
Billion.
To prepare what?
A
A register, which you are downloading from Electoral Commission.
23 billion. From where? From where?
23 billion.
From where?
23
You
billion.
are going even to fail PPF or
Can you
PFF before it
imagine
starts.
spending
Just
23
rumors.
billion downloading
What
the
kind of
register
people are
from
these?
the internet portals?
You
Yes.
may not accept it. So,
23 billion. Gentlemen,
So-
Chivumba has changed to this extent.
my time is limited.
I've just
This boy has changed to this
Who?
to this liar.
No, I'm not a liar. Although you taught me at O-level history,
Yes.
as a honest man, tell us your salary. Simple thing.
3.5 million.
3.5 million.
You asked who?
You are lying.
You asked who?
Therefore, if you have a lead of, you are chairman of electoral commission of a party,
Yes.
and you are a liar,
Now look.
can you ever tell the truth? You know, put the camera to him.
How does that speak to
No,
your
no,
preparations as a political
no,
party
that's-
towards the
that's-
next
no,
election?
no,
Now
what
look
I've-
at someone owning me beyond me.
I'm not owning you.
If I taught you Mwanga Chivumbi in maybe 97,
Some years.
Some years.
what do you think I was doing in this country that I can remain poor? You think I was just seated there?
No, you are now doing
Look at this. Look at this
Being
kind of
diversionary.
look,
So-
this blackmail.
So the big,
Look at this kind of
Please,
blackmail.
please allow,
That I told you
No,
you are
I'm-
rich
I'm
and I should remain poor.
No,
Do I
no,
have brains?
the point
Look
I'm
at this
trying to
blackmail.
make, the point I'm
We
trying
came
to
from
make.
Kisoko boys with the phone Pondo years ago. You want me to remain in that abyss?
No.
please, Honorable Semuju, please.
I have taught in
give
Makerere,
him
I have
space.
taught in Shibuli SS, I have done all these things. And you want me to remain because I was not being paid by government? You blackmail me because I get money from you? No, I can't accept that nonsense.
I'm not.
That is nonsensical. If I bought my first plot in Kampala around 1997, was NRM paying me? NRM was paying me through salary.
How does it pay? How much does it pay? That's a question.
But I told you.
How does that speak to the question of your preparation?
He has every reason to be angry.
No, I'm
Yes.
angry because you are blackmailing me before the
If it
press.
is his name being used,
Yes, you cannot
the
do
truth, the truth of the matter is that Mr. Museveni picks public resources to pay all of you, including yourself.
We get money through your parliament.
Which parliament?
Did you appropriate money to
You
parties?
have used 23 billion
Did
to
you
do a register.
appropriate
23
money?
billion,
Did you
which you
appropriate
downloaded
money?
and said you have 18 million voters.
Did you appropriate money to parties?
You can see, Charles.
You're
Yes.
just childish. You appropriate
Please
money. Even
allow,
you get money from
Honorable
government.
Semuju, let Ofonopondo come in.
No, you tell this
first
Makerere
allow-
professor who is
first
worked up
let-
to first school.
First allow Ofonopondo to come in. Yes.
I always disagree with you. You let an otherwise good discourse get convoluted by the likes of Mwanga Kivumbi, because Mwanga Kivumbi, you also look into the camera and tell people
How much do you pay?
how much you are paid. No. Look into the
And
camera.
you are an
tell
S6
them.
equivalent.
Don't say everybody knows. Look into the camera.
The highest
turning-
qualification
I'm
in
turning
power
the same question to you. But
to
anyway,
be in parliament.
the point I'm making.
But professors have
Please
been
allow
behaving like they didn't even study nursery
Semuju,
school.
Honorable Semuju, allow Ofonopondo make
And
his
you want me
point.
to give you examples?
That's blackmail.
Hold it.
Professors, look at Kido Makubia.
Honorable Mwanga,
First
You
Ugandan
asked
to get a
Semuju.
first class law degree who couldn't interpret even one single clause in the constitution.
Honorable Semuju, first allow Ofonopondo.
So you don't
Yes,
go throwing
please.
around your
What are we
doctorate.
taking?
You have used them for bad effect.
First allow Ofonopondo to make
That's
his point.
what should we be taking into the next election going forward?
Military.
All these things being said, on the side of government, we have the constitution, we have the laws, and we have the goodwill. The government of Uganda is appropriating money for the preparations for all the stages of the electoral cycle. We would want to appeal to Ugandans to proactively get engaged. The Electoral Commission has just indicated display of voters register where they want to update. Those eligible should go and register. Those that want to transfer should go and register and apply for transfer. Those that can examine your own particulars, but also raise questions about the people you doubt on that register at that polling station. these other side shows by the Monga Kivumbi and the Honorable Semuju, I think, is intended to find a soft landing ground when eventually they don't succeed. While they say there is militarism, they are actively participating and actually winning. Why do they think that their wins, their successes, are exceptions? And if it is exception, for Honorable Mwanga Kivumbi it is the third time, is that still an exception? For Honorable Semuju is also a third time, is that also still an exception? And we are not just winning your seats, but you are visibly doing well, even from a socio-economic point of view. Is that also just an exception? If you left Monitor or you left, I don't know, wherever Mwanga Kivumbi was the other day, why do you think that Ofono Pondo, simply because he works with the NRM, he cannot legitimately earn either from his direct employment or from his side hustles? And it's only you who has legitimate earning. I think that blackmail you can do, but you want to win with it. You can continue with it, but you won't eventually win with it.
Thank you.
Now, even the guns in Uganda ought to be used, and in majority of cases, are used in accordance with the law. And here's the thing. If you think that there are guns, there are offices that are being used outside the law, there are avenues for seeking remedy. One avenue is what we are doing here. Expose with the evidence, but don't come and use your position on the show to throw about mudslinging and so on and so forth.
Hold it a moment.
I'm saying